Hey guys, this is Valentina Palladino for Ars Technica, and we're going to talk about dash cams today. So a lot of foreign countries have embraced dash cams for safety, for entertainment, for a whole bunch of purposes, but the US has not fully embraced it yet. However, estimates are that dash cam sales in the US will be rising over the next couple of years. So I tested out a whole bunch of dash cams just to see what types of features that are really the most useful for drivers, how they work in your cars, how comfortable they are to use, and how much money you should really be spending on one. So there are a few common features among all of the dash cams that I tested. One is 1080p video recording, which is essential. Photos, you can take photos just by pressing a button on all of these cameras. Micro SD card storage, so whether or not they have a micro SD card included is different, but they all record video on a micro SD card. And they all kind of mount the same way as well on your windshield, like this one. This one is Cobra's newest dash cam. It's the Cobra CDR 895D dash cam. And this is a $199, so it's on the upper echelon in terms of price of the ones that I've tested. But it's pretty cool. So as you can see, it suctions up to the windshield, and when I'm driving I can't really see it. It does kind of drop down thanks to this little arm here, so I can see it a little bit, but it doesn't really get in the way. This does record 1080p video, and the cool thing about this one is that it comes with a rear windshield or rear in general camera. It's separate from this device, and as you can see there's a wire here that connects it to power, and then that splits off to the rear camera in the back that's attached to my rear windshield. So the cool thing about that camera, this one is separate, so I could technically mount this on my dashboard if I wanted to capture what I'm doing when I'm driving. But I chose, since I had the option, I chose to put it on my rear windshield to capture any of the activity that's going on behind me. Now with the rear camera, those are a little bit lesser quality. That's just 720p. So most main cameras will be 1080p, and that's what you want. The setup was a little bit difficult just because there are so many cables involved. You have the cable that connects this to the power, the Y splitter, the extender cable for the rear view camera. This one came with a 16 gigabyte micro SD card. And all of the cameras that I tested have loop recording features. So even though this is only a 16 gigabyte one, it will just loop and record over the oldest footage when that micro SD card gets full. It will record over the oldest ones, so you always have the most updated footage. So this camera is the Vantrue N2 camera. And this is very similar to the Cobra one we just saw because it also has a rear-facing camera in addition to the main camera. However, it is not separate. It's in here, and as you can see, this lens right here, this is the rear-facing camera. So it will only capture you while you're driving. This is also $199, so they're very comparable in that sense. But with the Cobra, I kind of like having that option of where to, place a second camera. So in that sense, I think the Cobra is a little bit more flexible. The Vantrue N2 also records 1080p. 720 with the rear-facing camera, and I have to say, out of all the ones that I tested, the Vantrue N2 has the best video quality overall, both in day and night. And there's very little graininess, and also with the night vision, it's nice because it kind of is more sensitive to light. So I found when I was driving at night, obviously the road in front of me was illuminated because I had my lights on, but it also kind of gathered the light from surrounding street lamps, and it really illuminated the sidewalks around me. Versus the other cameras, which didn't really do that. They kind of only focus on the road in front of you, and they aren't as sensitive to light. And it has a very small screen. It's one of the smallest ones, but the design of it is really nice because it is a tube. It really does hide behind my rear view mirror, so I can't see it other than the wire hanging down from here. What's also really nice is that all of these cameras have G sensors or gravity sensors. So if you were to get into an accident or some sort of impact, the camera would automatically know that that was an incident and save that footage so it can't be written over. The good thing about the Vantrue N2 is when you go back to look at that footage, when you take the SD card out, what's really nice is how they organize the footage. So the camera actually organizes the footage in events, normal, and photos. So if you were to snap photos with this button here, it would show up only in the photo section. Just normal driving where nothing's happening, all of your video footage would go into the normal folder. But if there was an event, if there was some sort of accident, impact, whatever, all of that footage would go saved into the events folder. Polaroid has about 3 different dash cams. This is its cheapest one. It's $60. And it does record 1080p, but I have to say that it is probably not the best quality video out of all of them. It's a little bit on the grainy side, and also the night vision is a little bit too dark. You kind of get what you pay for. If you really just want a dash cam that's under $100, this should work fine, but just keep that in mind as you go forward. Also, I didn't find this too limiting, but the field of view on this camera, the main camera, is 120 degrees. So if you can picture it, it'll show you about, you know, not a full 180, so not fully what's happening in front of you. That's the lowest field of view out of any of the cameras that I tested. Most of them are around 160 degrees, 170 degrees for the main camera, and that'll really help you get kind of the outskirts of your windshield, whatever's happening on the sides of you. I do like the design, however, I think that there are better designs than this, just because it does hang a little bit lower underneath. It's probably the one that hangs the lowest. It does have all that loop recording, does have a G sensor, so it has all the basic features that you'll need, which is good, because if you're going to pay $60 and still get all of those really good features, that's still worth your money, even if the video is a little bit grainy. Polaroid does have two other dash cams. One's around, I think it's $89, the other one is $99, and the upper echelon one has a built-in GPS. So we'll be able to show you when you look back at your footage where you were going, and also show you how fast you were going too. So the last dash cam we have here is the Rexing V1 dash cam. As you can see, it looks very different than the other dash cams that we have. It doesn't have a suction cup mount. It comes with an adhesive strip and a little mounting base, and you just kind of slide it on. And in that sense, it's really easy. I'm not a big fan of the adhesive base just because I don't want to put any adhesive on my windshield. However, I did take it off once, and it was pretty easy to take off and then stick back on, so it's not too bad. I just prefer a suction cup. But it is nice because this lays flat against your windshield, and I really, really like that. It's probably the design that I like the most out of all of them because it literally disappears behind my rearview mirror. While there is a very large screen here that I could look at if I wanted to, or like review things on, I don't have to ever look at it. Now this one, the V1, is $99. It's in the middle of all the ones that we tested. And I have to say, it's probably my favorite one out of all of them because the video quality is 1080p. It's very good. It's not as good as the Vantrue N2. And also the night vision isn't as sensitive to surrounding light. So it's still pretty much you'll only see the road in front of you, but you can see a little bit of the sidewalks or things around you. But for the price and for the quality, I think it's the best value for your money. On the side here are these little kind of dials. So you can move the camera lens, which is out here, up and down. So you can adjust the angle. And that's really nice because then you won't be touching the camera with your fingers and you won't be any fingerprints on it. The other thing that's really great about the Rexing V1 is that it can hold a micro SD card up to 128 gigabytes. That's the most, like the highest capacity one that I tested. The other ones all kind of cap around 32 or 64 gigabytes. So that is nice if you kind of spend a lot of time in your car and a lot of time driving. Overall, I think that the Rexing V1 is the best one since it has a $99 price tag and all these really nice features, really good video quality, and the design is really seamless with your windshield. If you really did want that rear camera view, either of you or your rear windshield, I would say the Cobra dash cam is the best one. I do like the flexibility that it gives you with the detached rear camera. You know, it's one of those devices that a lot of people may not justify because they're not going to be using it. They're not going to be very hands-on with it all the time after you install it, but dash cams could be very useful in those few times that you absolutely need it.